It's not unusual when we go on these trips to find opposition, and it's been different than this trip. Immediately from the beginning, with all the planning and preparation and everything that goes into it to arrive and to find out that the powers that be don't really want people to be seen by Christians. We don't come flying that banner high that we are Christians. We come with a heart to serve people. Yet there's always opposition in some manner or form, and it's not unusual this time. We were able to circumnavigate that day one. Day two, we were able to see all the patients, and now this morning we've been told that there are no more refugees who need to be seen. And we know there's over 20,000 Syrian refugees in the city that we're serving in right now. So small team met just moments ago and prayed and asked God to open those doors. And it should not surprise you, though it even surprises us at times, that God has done just that. We ask for the Almighty to open a door to allow these refugees to gain access, and we just received word that they're on their way. So we'll be treating patients again here a little later than we anticipated starting, but we should be seeing patients here within the hour, and we're excited, and we give God all the praise, glory, and honor for what He allows us to be a part of.
All right, so we just got back from the Iraqi wholesale pharmacy, and because we had a native pharmacist, local pharmacist, I think is probably the better way of saying that, and some translators, we were able to buy several thousands of dollars worth of medication for about $600 US.
Many of the people we've seen today are Syrians, both that have sought refuge in Erbil and some that have sought refuge in Kirkuk. Probably the thing of greatest value to me, and as I've communicated to the team members, is the encouragement that it is to the refugees having left their country. Some of them have left just no more than 2 to 3 months ago, some as much as 6 to 9 months ago. But they've left their homes. Their greatest desire, although they're here for medical treatment today, their greatest desire is to go back home. And they can't believe that Americans came all the way across the world to come here and to render aid to them. It makes them feel like they've not been forgotten.
I'm Omar. I'm one of the doctors working in Kurdistan. I've started working in this system, in my country's system, and for the last 3 days we've been chosen by some doctors to accompany a group of American doctors that came here to help with the Syrian refugees, and I come from a place where I've seen lots of things, and we've seen lots of people leaving their houses get bombed, and they lose parts, they do lose very dear ones, but I'm very, very glad that now I have a little bit of opportunity to be one of those people who would at least help relieving those people who had to leave their houses, who had to leave their families, and looking for security or safety.
We've seen all sorts of stuff medically. We've seen a one-day-old child come in with some sort of serious staph infection. We've seen skin issues that even our doctors haven't seen before. They've only learned about in medical school. We've had open wounds come in that doctors had to change bandages, but then the personal side, to hear the stories of what the people have suffered, especially the ones who have come out of Syria. We talked to a young man just last night who had fled Syria about 6 months ago. His home and his whole family, his home was bombed by aircraft. They had to flee to Iraq for safety. We met a man yesterday who had developed all sorts of heart issues, and overall it's been overwhelming to see the plight of many of the people. But I think probably the most moving thing to us that I've seen, as I've worked with triage, worked with the nurses in there, is seeing the heart of the people for their children. When you watch them come in and you see the children with issues, they're looking for hope. We hope that at least the love that was shown to them by our care, by our love, will minister that grace to them for the future.
So there have been several people that have come through our clinics here that our translators have said that these guys were extremists, that were terrorists. These guys were non-believers, but God has come into their lives and has stirred their hearts. They're believers, and but to be able to minister to these guys, to be able to provide medicine, provide care, and to just love on them is huge.
I think
I saw 64 patients today, a lot of infectious disease today, not bad stuff, just run-of-the-mill ear infections that when they go 3 months without treatment turn into perforations and deafness. So it's unfortunate that sometimes it goes on that long just because they don't have access to care. I saw probably 6 from Baghdad. I saw probably 10 to 12 that were Kurdish from Erbil, and then I think the majority were Syrian refugees today. A lot of the Syrian refugees actually come in with more nicer clothes, with more jewelry, and it's interesting because it's not, these people aren't refugees because they're poverty stricken, they're refugees because they're persecuted in their country, and so they may have the means of care and to provide their own care, they just don't have access. For me, it's been very moving because you know Scripture tells us that we're foreigners in our own land, and that you know, and so to see these people as productive members of their society and then have been displaced and now are foreigners in a similar culture just makes me think, you know, how truly fragile our own security is when you think about worldly security, but yet how stable it is when you think about the security God provides us.
I believe the mission here is accomplishing its goal. I do see people smiling when they're leaving, whether there is treatment or not. I can see them smiling. I can see them getting the proper way of treatment, and that makes me happy being part of this group.